All right. Hello again, and thank you for joining us at UACNJ, United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. So, we're just going to get started. It is quite rainy right now. The forecast wasn't quite this rainy earlier when we called saying we were going to have our in-person program, but here we are. We're going to do it live anyway. So, couple things before we get started. Thank you for joining us. We do have our programs in person from April on every Saturday, April through October. The program starts promptly at 8. And for those of you who can't make it for distance reasons, weather reasons, health reasons, you can always check us out on our YouTube stream now. You can go to our website, uacnj.org, and look up what presentations we have coming up. We also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can check those out for any updates we have. So tonight, we have our long-time running series, What's Up in the July Sky. We have this talk, or a similar talk, not exactly this talk, it changes every month. That's why we have it every month. Usually the first Saturday of every month, giving a brief overview of what you can usually find in that month's sky with a little coverage of any interesting events that we just had and a little look forward into upcoming future interesting space events. So, like I said, we do have a little bit of a live audience. A couple brave souls have come out, including Lonny's beautiful wife. Hey, don't laugh, you are. So, Lonny Buinis, our speaker for tonight, has been obsessed with all things outer space since childhood. When he looked through his first telescope and saw a pterodactyl pass over the moon. In the age of mammals, he helped to start the United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. And in 2016, during the Ice Age, UACNJ dedicated the Lonny Buinis Observatory. Lonny holds degrees from Stevens Institute of Technology in Physics and Computer Science. He is a member of the International Association of Astronomical Artists and created the first interactive space history book. He's as skeptical of experts as you are, so after the talk, please ask questions. And if you are online, please feel free to ask the questions during the chat. I am actually monitoring the chat through the use of my lovely handheld mobile device. And we will ask them at the end during the question and answer session. And now, let's explore star colors. Oh, this is last month's talk, so I don't know what we're actually going to look at this thing. But it's What's Up in the July Sky.
Thank you, Kit. Thanks. It'll be a surprise. I'm going to be blocking part of the screen, so from time to time you'll see me disappear off to the side. It's been a real pleasure working here for free at the UACNJ Observatory for the public for the last 26 years. I look forward to doing it for some time to come. Really glad to be doing it on this great occasion of the 245th anniversary of our nation's independence. So let's find out what's up in the sky. I like to start by pointing out that UACNJ, as well as most science museums and planetaria, will sell you a smaller version of what's called a planisphere. Yes, that's correct. Because I'm facing north, and now I'm facing south. Thank you for pointing that out. It does all the directions. So you can buy smaller versions of this here at UACNJ. They're inexpensive, and there are all kinds of versions. Planisphere is what this is called, and it's a great way to learn the sky. But we're going to do it by using some free computer programs and apps. Well, here Kim is demonstrating that was Kim, the planisphere that's for sale here at the UACNJ gift shop. Yes, we have a gift shop. That's it for advertisement. When you come to visit, we do have some reminders about being careful not to blind people with flashlights, not to kick the astronomers' tripods, because it's the very worst thing can happen. Not that the astronomer loses the observation, but that they cry that you kick their tripod. You don't want to make an astronomer cry. It's a very sad sight. So let's start with some news. I've got some good news and some bad news that involves the planet Venus. Yep, good news and bad news. Let's start. Bad news first? Yeah, let's start with the bad news. No, I'm sorry. This is good news. No, this is the bad news. I get confused. Bad news, water. There's a new way to measure water activity on exoplanets. Can you believe it? They actually, I don't know if I'm actually in the camera. They can now actually measure the water content in the atmospheres of planets that go around other stars than the sun. It's amazing. So they've done this for planets in our solar system, and it turns out there's a threshold where there's just enough water for life to live in the clouds of the atmosphere of a planet. For that threshold is about 0.585. I don't know what the number means, but it's 0.585 on a scale from 0 to 1. 1 would be Earth, right? Our atmosphere is loaded with water. Those of us who are here in the rain can attest to that right now because they're shaking themselves to get dry. So in Venus, it's 0.004. Bad news, life could probably not live in the atmosphere of Venus. For years, it was hoped that it could. However, surprisingly, in the atmosphere of Jupiter, it was found by the Galileo probe some years ago, about 42 miles up to about, around between 26 and 42 miles. The temperature is cold, but life could live, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The water activity is about 0.585. Woohoo! But problem, the radiation would kill you. And would kill anything, because not only do you have UV radiation, ultraviolet from the sun, you've got Jupiter radiating from below, because Jupiter is a failed star. Did you hear about this? Yeah, it's a planet, but if it were a little bit bigger, it might have become a small star. So poor Venus. But the good news is, for years, astronomers have been speculating that Venus has no continental plates like the ones on Earth that slide under each other, like the plate that's sliding under the continental plate in California, creating those earthquakes, right? Hasn't moved in some time. They're a little worried about that. They said Venus, nah. Well, they reversed themselves. Now we know that there are plates under Lavinia planitia, a plain, a lowland region with ridges and grooves that have a lot of deformation. They think there are plates moving over each other. And I like what the lead scientist on the team who found this said. Best explained, the upper solid layer of Venus is fragmented and has moved. So there's some good news for Venus. But we're here to see what's up in the sky, right? So you can go to csky.org. I do not work, disclaimer, for C-Sky. Or Sea or Sky. I don't work for UACNJ either. I'm a volunteer. I do it for love, not money. So I am an amateur astronomer. Amateur astronomer, the first of many technical terms that will be testing you out there in internet land later. Got that memorized? Amateur. That means love, not money. And so if you go to csky.org and click on Explore the Sky, and then the calendar, I know there's a lot of stuff here, it can get confusing, but you want to look at the calendar, and it'll show you a lot of years. Pick the current one, and you'll get a list. Why, you're asking at home, is this man showing us a picture of a male deer? Let's find out. Starting July 10th, you're memorizing these dates now, everybody? July 10th, new moon. The new moon is good. We love the new moon. Here's when the moon is exactly new. Astronomers like to confuse everybody by using the British time because we picked Great Britain to have the standard time zone at 1:17 UTC. Whoops, universal. Oh, I managed to stop my slideshow, sorry. Universal time, UTC, happens at Greenwich, England. That's our standard time zone. We are 4 hours ahead. The Earth rotates 4 hours later to put us where London was, right? So if you want to figure out the difference from universal time to our time, daylight time, add 4. Why is the new moon good? It's good for seeing faint stuff like nebulae. What's a nebula? gas cloud, fancy word, Latin for gas cloud. You want to see faint objects in the summer sky? Look for nebulae. Look for galaxies, like our own Milky Way, except far away, they look a lot smaller. Why is it bad? It's very bad for black cats. Why? They get run over. It's dark. It's great. No, it's not so good for owls either, right? But it's great for astronomers because we can see faint objects. Not so 14 days later, 24th, the full moon, known as the buck moon. Get it? Buck moon. The male deer grow their antlers this time. They start shedding the felt on their antlers. The Native Americans early on in early America called it the buck moon. Also known by other poetic names, thunder moon and hay moon. Every moon in each month has a poetic name. So go to seasky.org, find out what it is, find out the history. It's fun. Why is the full moon bad? It's bad for, yes, everything. Everything in the sky except bright stars and bright planets. And we'll see why when we simulate the sky. There is a meteor shower this month. The Delta Aquarids is a minor shower seeming to come from the constellation, you guessed it, Aquarius, zodiac sign, Aquarids. The peak is July 28th to 29th. We hope that it'll stop raining by then. So you want to look the best night late on the 28th into the 29th, although you could see some meteors before and some after. Now this is going to be difficult. Why? Because what happened on the 24th, first test of the night? Remember what I said, 24th it was, what kind of moon? Don't all answer at once. That's correct. We have a brave member of the audience getting what who said full moon. Full moon makes it very hard to see anything. Go out and try anyway. This comet was made by, this meteor shower is leftover debris from a comet as the Earth passes through the track of an old comet. In this case, there were two of them, Marsden and Crutched. And of course, the full moon makes things very sad. If you want to see the planet Mercury, I know a lot of you out there in the audience like to get up early at 4 in the morning, right? Don't believe everything I say. 4 in the morning at 4:15 on July 4th. Sounds familiar. It's tomorrow, right? So tomorrow morning you get up, you go out at 4:15, look low in the sky, and you will see rain, and you'll see clouds, and you'll maybe curse a little bit because you won't see the planet Mercury, which would look like this, simulated above the horizon line, the separation between sky and ground. You would see a thick crescent Mercury. It goes through phases like the moon. Would you see it with your eye like this? No. Mercury looks like a star to the eye. You need a telescope. So if we want to see these things, we're not going to see them tonight because it's cloudy, it's raining, and the forecast is for clouds and rain for the entire week until next Monday. Great. But we can simulate it with a free program called Stellarium. Stellarium.org lets you download it. Stellarium-web.org lets you play with the supercomputers on the internet. You don't even have to download anything. The only weird thing I noted about Stellarium is right here. It's in version 0.21. I don't know if anybody out there has ever heard of something less than version 1. I haven't. I think it's a little strange. But I've been using Stellarium for years, since it was 0.14. When are they going to get to 1? I don't know.
When we get to 1, it's when we have to pay for it.
Oh, right. We'll be paying for it, I'm sure.
Beta testing, I believe, is the technical term.
Well, if you like another free program that simulates space, try this one, Celestia. Again, a downloadable version, a web version. It's in version 1.6.1. Haha, Stellarium, take that. And we can play with both of those. But for right now, I'm going to stop, and we'll resume our slideshow when I finish talking. Right now, we're going to simulate the sky as it would have looked tonight with Stellarium. So the sky right now looks like this if it weren't raining. Stellarium simulates the real sky in real time and takes the time from your device, your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, and in the future, your phlablet. What's a phlablet? Quiz for the audience. We can set the time to later. Instead of 8:16, we can make it 9:16, we can make it 10:16 at night. And so you would see the familiar stars in the N for, you guessed it, north, cardinal points in stellarium. You won't see those in the real sky. You will see a letter W low in the sky if you don't have trees, buildings, the way I do. All right, what is that? Well, we can also cheat and draw lines the way you see on a star map, like the one we sell at UACNJ. Shameless advertisement. This is the Queen Cassiopeia, and she's recognizable as a letter W this time of year, low in the sky. Not far from her is a house-shaped husband. Cepheus, to me, looks like a house. If you see a king, you've got a good imagination. There's Camelopardalis right there. You see it? Yeah, I don't know. Giraffe. But the most easily recognized objects, if I were to zoom out and make this look like a planisphere, you know what that is, where everything is much smaller, do you recognize the 7 stars of the Big Dipper? Part of the Great Bear lying sideways. Feet, head, tail, Big Dipper in the middle. What's wrong with this picture? Do bears have tails? Don't all answer at once. Everybody's very quiet because
Yes,
they're all out there.
In
and I'm
fact,
here.
bears do have tails, just
Yeah.
not quite that long usually.
Correct. And you want to find the Little Dipper, follow the pointers. Now in the real sky, these things are going to be a lot bigger, kind of like that, bigger angle. Follow the pointer stars 5 times their distance apart. What star is that? North Star, Polaris, Alpha Ursa Minor. Right, so there's all kinds of ways to designate stars in the sky. A lot of stars have names that were given them by the ancient Arabic astronomers during the Dark Ages. So here we have Merak and Dubi. Alpha, Dubi, Merak, Beta, Ursa Major. Right between the two, bears, long constellation, Dragon, Draco. I'm probably in the way. Can you see it? Head, body, tail. And there is our former North Star. Back when they built the pyramids, that was the North Star. In the distant future, about 10,000 AD, that will be our North Star, the bright star Vega or Vega, Alpha Lyrae. So what we've just done is got familiar with 5 constellations in the northern sky, N, right? Go outside tonight, tomorrow night, next night, Monday night, next week. Look for the letter N, right? Go to the north, find the North Star. You know you're looking north. When you find the North Star, you'll see Cassiopeia, Cepheus, Draco, Ursa Minor, Ursa Major. You've got the circumpolar stars that never rise or set. They just circle the pole endlessly from New Jersey. But the most interesting things happen in the opposite part of the sky, towards the south. So what you want to do, if you want to see the stars of spring disappearing, you're going to look towards your right or west, right facing south. All right, at UACNJ, I am facing south. We're going to welcome some visitors, some live visitors. That means visitors who are still alive. Welcome. Have a stand. Welcome to UACNJ. We're underway describing what there is to see in the night sky, what you would have seen if it weren't raining. So I apologize for Mother Nature. We just got familiar with some of the stars of the north. You guys in the audience might recognize this one right here. 7 stars that make a dipper shape. Hint, hint. Big Dipper, right? You ever hear of that? Little Dipper. You follow the pointers to the Little Dipper. So that was a quick review. We do have an internet audience too, so you guys are joined by people online. Welcome, thanks for coming in this weather. So what I did was I turned around to face south. Now that's behind all of us. That way is south at Jenny Jump. Over the roof is north. But I was saying the most interesting things in the sky happen pretty much in the south this time of year. So if you want to see the stuff that's disappearing for spring, a great lion in the west, looks like a backwards question mark, partly behind the trees, and a triangle. That's Leo, the lion. Leo, ever hear of him? Zodiac sign. But the spring is disappearing, and so are those stars. So we focus, let's start low in the south. This is going to be hard to do from where I live, buildings, trees. You may have the same trouble. That's why we urge you to come visit the Jenny Jump observatories, the UACNJ, because this is one of the darkest sites in the state of New Jersey. It's amazing. You can see this, the Milky Way, going from horizon to horizon like a band of milk going through the sky. Very few other places to see that in New Jersey. You won't see lines. I can draw lines and names of the constellations. I can also draw pictures. But you see a sky that looks like this with so many stars, it's bewildering. You'll see satellites slowly drifting across the sky. You might see an occasional meteor streak by in stellarium, harder to see in the real sky. But if you look low in the summer, this time of year, you might see a teapot-shaped group of stars. Handle, lid, spout, see it? How about if I draw lines? Easier? You're looking at, believe it or not, what we amateurs, I'm an amateur astronomer, not professional. I don't do this for money. We amateurs here call it the teapot. Can you believe it, the teapot? But what it's supposed to be is Centaurus. The centaur Sagittarius. Sagittarius is half man, half horse with a bow and arrow. How did they ever see that from this? I don't know. You'll have to ask our ancestors, right? But if you can find it, you can find the center of the Milky Way that contains a massive black hole, millions of times the mass of our sun. It's swallowing whole star systems alive. How do we know this? Because we've seen it. We've watched it. We've watched this giant black hole eating stars. It's amazing. To find it, go above the spout, right about here. Can you see it? No. Why? It's a black hole. You can't see a black hole. It's invisible, right? It swallows light. Even light can't escape a black hole. But what you can see, if you go above the spout, is a fuzzy cloud. See that right there? A fuzzy cloud? In stellarium, it's red. To the eye, it looks white. And one night, when I was here on a dark night, no moon, no light pollution, right, no clouds, I saw this little cloud above the spout of the teapot. I wondered, what is that? It looks like a little piece of the Milky Way broke off. What I saw with this, my naked eye, that's the technical term, by the way. Can you repeat after me? Naked eye. Very good. You've all got it. You were all born with them. Use it and look at the Lagoon Nebula, with a lagoon of dust running down the middle. This is a gas cloud, a nebula, forming stars. Stars are being born here. Stars are being born in this gas cloud. The dust is collapsing to form star systems, solar systems, Earths, Jupiters, Saturns. Someday we'll see them. How do we know? Am I making this up? I could be. I'm a good liar, but amateur astronomers have been watching this cloud for decades. They can see stars turning on. It's very exciting. It's exciting as watching the hour hand of a clock. You got to be very patient. The Lagoon Nebula is visible here at Jenny Jump on a nice night to the naked eye. It's unbelievable. A star birthplace. There's another one nearby. I've got to point this one out because it's so beautiful. It's cut into 3 parts by dark dust. 3 parts. Trifid Nebula, or Trifid Nebula. There's a famous science fiction movie, The Day of the Triffids. Check it out. 3 footed monster plants. I won't spoil the story for you. Trifid Nebula, again, glowing red in the light of hydrogen gas. The blue light comes from stars, young stars glowing blue. Some stars are old and they've burned out, they're reddish, or they're giants and they burn their fuel slowly. Our star is what kind of star? Average what color? Yellow, average star. Stars are different colors. So low in the summer sky, next to the teapot, you find that, you'll see a bug-shaped group of stars with a stinger on the end of the tail, a bright red heart, Scorpius. The zodiac name is Scorpio, but astronomers call it Scorpius. And that is a very exciting place to be because every once in a while, the planet Mars passes right past the red star, Anti-Aries. The Greek god of war, Ares, became the Roman god Mars. Ever hear of Mars? Red planet Mars. Anti-Aries, the rival of Mars, is aptly named. It is one of the signs of the zodiac, which is a path drawn out by special constellations called the signs of the zodiac. We can mark them if we draw out into space the path of that the Earth goes around the sun. If you could draw the Earth's orbit around the sun out into space, it would look like this. I don't know if it would be a red line, but it would be a line going through Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpius, Sagittarius, and my sign, Capricornus. I'm embarrassed to admit it's a goat. My wife likes to call me the old goat sometimes. Capricornus is a sea goat, half fish, half goat. You don't believe me? See him coming up late at night? Now, if we look higher, just a little bit higher above the scorpion and the teapot, we're going to see a guy carrying a snake. The head of the snake, the tail of the snake, the guy in the middle, Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus, the serpent carrier. The planets go through this sign nowadays. They didn't thousands of years ago. So there are actually 13 signs, not 12, that the planets, the sun and the moon pass through, making astrology wrong. Modern astrologers take this into account. Traditional astrologers do not. And remember, astrology is not a science. Look up even higher. Now you're going to be holding your head like this, a little uncomfortable. You out there, you're going to watch facing south. You're going to see Hercules, the letter H, looking like a letter H, but they draw him in mythology upside down. Poor Hercules. You can find something called a deep sky object. We amateur astronomers call anything that's far away, deep in the sky, deep sky objects. You see how we are so clever with our scientific terms? Yeah, so a deep sky object that's famous, that you can see with binoculars, even small binoculars, looks like a fuzzy cloud. Look in the middle of Hercules to the stars on the right. This whole thing forms what's called a keystone, the kind of stone you see in a stone archway at the top, holding it all together. About a third of the way down, there's a fuzzy blob in the shape of a globe. The shape of a globe. And it's a bunch of stars. If we make the magnification greater and greater, as you see it in big binoculars, in a small telescope, in a big telescope, we would find a cluster of stars together in the shape of a globe. It's called a what? Guess. Globular cluster. Right. You got it. Scientific. Globular cluster. This is the most easily seen from New Jersey. It's called M number 13, M13. Charles Messier, French astronomer, made a list of objects when he was looking for comets. This is the 13th one. It's 500,000 stars all closely clustered together. There are a whole bunch of these globular clusters orbiting the Milky Way galaxy. They're some of the oldest things in our galaxy, going back more than 10 billion years. You can see it with even a small telescope or binoculars. Probably won't see it with your naked eye. Look for Hercules. Look for Hercules' crown. Oh, and what's that? Sometimes you'll see something moving very quickly across the sky. Elon Musk put a whole bunch of these up recently to make the internet available to everybody all over the world easily. You ever hear of these? The Starlink satellites? Right? You might see one of them passing over. Look! Not tonight. I'm sorry. So I have no control over the clouds. So maybe over the next week, keep trying. But they're saying by next Monday, things should be clearing.
I mean, originally when they were being put up, there was huge glare issues, but I didn't think the glare was that bad that it could get through the clouds.
No, they're not. They won't present a problem with the clouds. And also, they're painting them black so that they reflect less light. And therefore, they'll be less of a nuisance to people like us, astronomers. So we just oriented ourselves to part of the sky. I'm going to leave you with two things. A way to find two brightly colored stars, one orangey in color, that's a scientific term, orangey, and another one bluish. I like to throw out science terms all the time. Bluish. If you want to find them, you just need your naked eye. You need the Big Dipper. You follow the arc of the handle, Arcturus. Arcturus. In Stellarium, the colors are not very bright, but you can see them with your eye. Orangish Arcturus is less bright than the sun, but much bigger. Speed, Arcturus, speed to Spica in Virgo. Bluish star, much hotter than the sun. 20,000 degrees, that's, not as bad as a New Jersey summer, but pretty hot. The sun is right in between, only 10,000 Celsius or Kelvin. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Now, if we were to look further eastward, you're facing south, that's going to be on your left. For those of you facing north, it'll be on your right. We can see some of the stars of the later summer coming up. These will be higher when I give my talk next month. You'll never guess what it's called. What's up in the August sky? What's up in the August sky comes after July. We're going to be looking for a triangle of three bright stars and some planets. And if I wait, yeah, I can see them. Do you see the three bright stars? Let's point them out. Vega, we saw before, that's our pole star, 10,000 AD. Deneb means tail, and Altair was in a science fiction movie, Forbidden Planet. They go to that star. This triangle of stars you see in the summer, you'll never guess what we amateurs call it. You'll never guess. You'll never guess.
Triangle star?
Yes, the summer triangle. Very good. Summer triangle, check it out. Vega is the lyre, the harp. Deneb is in the tail of Cygnus, the swan. Altair is in Aquila, the eagle. Beautiful stars, beautiful constellations. One of the prettiest stars of the sky is the head star in Cygnus, the swan. It is a famous double star, split only in telescopes. One blue, one bluish, kind of a cyan color, blue-green. The other is beautiful orangey color. Again, in stellarium, not so striking, but to the naked eye, to the eye looking through a telescope, it's absolutely beautiful. Ask to see Albireo. The amateur astronomers with all their telescopes out here would love to show you. Look nearby for a little arrow-shaped constellation. Arrow-shaped. See it? Sagitta, shot by Sagittarius, get it? Sagittarius, the arrow shooter, the centaur, shoots Sagitta the arrow. And right nearby, a famous group of stars that's not a constellation, but looks like something in your closet. See it? Coat hanger is correct, that's what it's called. It's a famous asterism. If a star group makes a pretty picture, but it's not one of the 88 official constellations, it's called an asterism. The Big Dipper is not a constellation. It's a piece of the Great Bear, so it's an asterism. For you, any piano players out there? You know how many keys on a piano? Same as the number of constellations. Interesting coincidence. So we've just seen a tour of the entire sky. What I recommend you do, if you want a quick review, go out and face north first. Not when it's cloudy, not tonight, not tomorrow night, not the night after, not the night after that, not the one after that. You might have to wait a week, but be patient. Give it a try. That's how I learned. I went out, I got myself a planisphere. I looked at the centerfold of Astronomy magazine, Sky and Telescope magazine. Every month they have that. Your local newspaper might have a star chart. And I learned in the north to find the North Star from the Big Dipper. Keep going to find the house and the queen of legend who boasted that her daughter Andromeda was more beautiful than any of the goddesses of the ancient Greeks. And boy, was that a big mistake, because then they chained Andromeda to the rocks. It's a long story. I'll tell you the story in the fall. Come back for what's up in the September sky. So then you want to face south, look towards the west for stars disappearing. Look low in the south for the Scorpion, the Teapot, the Serpent Carrier, the Summer Triangle, and coming up later on at night, the planets Saturn and Jupiter. And how can we see the night sky later? We don't have to wait. We can speed up time in Stellarium. There we go. Let's stop right there. The time is now 7. It's midnight. It's after midnight, 16 minutes after midnight. For those of you who can't stay up that late, I'm sorry. But if you come back next month, you'll see the same sky earlier. Look for Saturn and Jupiter. And if you want to see what Saturn looks like in a telescope, anyone, it's in my constellation. The sea goat doesn't look like a sea goat to me. It looks like a triangle, maybe 2 triangles. We can zoom in to see what Saturn looks like in a telescope. But look how far we have to zoom in. We have to get magnification hundreds of times to get detail, to see some of the satellites, to see the rings at all. Early telescopes, Galileo's early telescope 400 years ago, he thought Saturn had ears. That's how he described it. Saturn has ears. But in a large telescope, we can see quite a bit. We would not see these red things spinning around. That's Stellarium. So the rings are wide open now, but they'll be closing up over the next few years. Get a good look at Saturn in a telescope. You'll see some of its bright moons in the telescopes that we have here. Lots of fun things to learn about in the sky. I don't want to show you too much, so let's stop right there. And I'm going to end my show here with yep, you guessed it, a review. So everybody out there paying attention, right? Okay. So what do? You go out, you look in the north, you find the Big Dipper, Little Dipper, maybe some of the other circumpolar constellations that go round and round the pole, counterclockwise. Right? You can even tell time from where the constellations are. When the Big Dipper is at the 9 o'clock position, it's summer. Look up high in the south for the Summer Triangle, Hercules, the Crown, down lower for the Serpent Carrier, low for the Scorpion and the Teapot, the Milky Way rising like steam. Lots of stuff to see here. Amateur astronomers will show you with their telescopes. They'll show you nebulas and star clusters, open clusters, globular clusters. There's different kinds. There's a lot of stuff to see. It's very exciting. You can tell because you can see I'm very excited. I'm a very excitable person talking about the sky. And then if you wait till later on at night, when the younger members of our audience might have to go to sleep, you can find the planet Jupiter. Tremendous photographs being taken by amateur astronomers. This one taken with a 14-inch telescope. That means a telescope with a mirror 14 inches across. Right? This is Christopher Go, who lives in the Philippines. And I love the way he describes stuff on Jupiter. See those 2 dark marks? Those are big clouds, almost as big as the planet Earth. Yep, you heard me right. Jupiter is a giant planet. You could fit 11 Earths across Jupiter. He calls these barges floating in the atmosphere. Jupiter's clouds are bigger than our planet. It's amazing. So, south, 9:30 at night. Now watch what happens over the course of a month. When I give the talk, what's up in the, you guessed it? August sky. South, July 15th. Watch what happens August 15th. Want to see that again? Look at the moon, or look at, let's pick one object. Look at the Scorpion's heart, Antares. Where is it now? 30 degrees over. When you look at the sky at one time, let's pick a time when you're still awake, 9:30 at night, right? Most of us are up. You face one direction. If you do it again a month later, the Earth has moved in its orbit around the sun. Every time we move around the sun, let's say the sun is this patch of grass at my feet. As I move around the sun, I'm looking at night at the same time in different directions. 4 different directions, one for each time of the year, right? So that's why the sky changes. That's why we ask you to come back and see what's up in the sky the first Saturday of every month when I give the talk. It's always changing. It's always interesting. There's always new stuff to see. So I'm going to challenge you before we end our talk tonight. Look for the Lagoon Nebula. See if you can see it with your naked eye. This is the best time of the year to do it, July. By the time August rolls around, it's going to be lower. Check above the teapot spout. See if you can find it. That's M8, the Lagoon Nebula. And finally, a quick review. July 4th, Mercury, if you want to get up at 4 in the morning. Not me. July 10th, new moon, best time to look at faint stuff. Full moon, 24, the worst time to see faint stuff. Meteor shower, 28th, 29th. And then we're going to look next month at Saturn when it reaches the same place in its orbit, the same side around the sun as the Earth. It's called opposition. It's when Saturn's closest to Earth and brightest. But that's for next time. A little bit of history. July 25th, the first time that an astronomer in the United States got a PhD, 1861. And I love this long title of this guy, Arthur Williams Wright, talk, having given the velocity and direction and motion of a meteor and entering the atmosphere of the Earth to determine its orbit around the sun, taking into account the direction of both these bodies. Whoa! Why couldn't he have just said motion of a meteor? And then a few years later, first female astronomer, Margaretta Palmer in the U.S. to get a PhD. She later was responsible for studying the trigonometric parallax of stars, a way to tell the distance to stars. Amazing. American astronomers, we celebrate the one July 25th. So, before you go, you're going to memorize all this, right? UACNJ, say after me, UACNJ. UACNJ, right. That's our umbrella organization, United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. All different organizations relating to the sky. Observatories mostly, but other, and people who are interested. And if you belong to a club that belongs to the UACNJ, you can observe here in one of the darkest night sites. Magazines, they still make them that in print. You can buy them in print. You can read them online. Some of it is free. The rest you can pay for. Astronomy and Sky and Telescope is written at the level for you and me, not professionals, so it's all understandable, and you can learn a lot. Free programs, Stellarium and Celestia, I mentioned before. Look at all the apps that are free. This is like a couple dozen. I found this just for my phone. I have an Android phone. Some of you have iPhones. There's an equal number of free stuff. Celestia and Stellarium both run on both Android and Apple. Really neat. Free. You hold it up to the sky, it'll tell you where you're looking. I've written a book. You can see links to it from my website, Astronomy in Motion. Astronomy in Motion, my wife helped me name it. I do space art, animation, virtual reality, objects that you can move with your fingers in 3D in my book or on my website for free. You don't have to pay for that. So check it out. You've been a very good audience. You can reach me at lonnybuinis@gmail.com. Thanks for coming. Thanks for viewing all out there in internet land. Thank you. Thanks for coming in this really difficult weather. I'm going to turn you over to Kim. Thanks, Kim.
Right. That's actually a really adorable picture of Pluto. I don't know. It made me smile. All right. So Like we said at the beginning of the talk, unfortunately, the weather was slightly unpredictable. It said, hey, it wasn't supposed to rain past like 6 or 7, and sure enough, it's still raining. So normally at this time, we would have the observatories open. If the sky was clear, we would be observing. Right now, we don't have observing through eyepieces on UACNJ's telescopes. However, we would be normally projecting what we can see through the telescope using cameras onto a screen on the side of the observatories. Unfortunately, with it raining, we did not want to bring out the delicate electronic equipment to get ruined. So what's going to happen right now is we are having a Q&A session. I've been saving up some questions from our online chat. Couple things for our live audience here. We do have, if you need to use the bathroom, we do have the porta potty to my right, your left, and we do have the sales desk to my left, your right. Since we are a nonprofit, all the proceeds that get donated through us, whether here at our observatory or online, do go to help keeping our lights on, our free programs running, and to help do any outreach. This past year and 2020 was really bad for outreach because unfortunately the plague happened, but we're looking forward to starting to get back into that, where we generally go to the green fairs and various state park functions, and we've done some through schools and libraries as requested. So with that, please, like I said, do check, or like Lonny said, do check us out on our website, UACNJ.org. Our list of all our talks for the year are posted online. And if you cannot make it in person to any of the talks, you can always check us out on our live stream on our YouTube. So with that, we're going to get into the Q&A session. So I'm going to start out with a online question. It helps if I don't wear my distance glasses trying to read. Oh, suddenly I can actually read. The first one is our online audience says hello to our in-person audience. But the first question is, this person's not good at astronomy, but they're a Gemini. Are the signs associated to the visible constellations at the time of year that they're born? So I'm guessing they're asking if the constellation or the zodiac sign they're assigned to was the constellation most apparent in the sky, or?
Actually, yeah, that's very close, Kim. That's right. The traditional astrologers say, they call it your sun sign. So where is the sun in the sky when you're born? It appears among the stars that you can't see because the sun's light blocks it out, but the constellations are still there. And the ancients knew where they were. They had star charts. So they knew where the sun was. For instance, when the sun is supposed to be in Capricorn, that's my sign, that's when I was born, December 26. However, the Earth has wobbled in the few thousand years since astrology got started. Did you know the Earth wobbles like a spinning top? Every 25,000 years. It's very slow, but it's enough to throw things off. So now, when I was born, the sun was not in Capricorn, it was in Sagittarius, one whole sign to the right. Everything is off by one sign. So I don't know if modern astrologers account for that. However, scientists point out that this is not science. And they say that in science, there's no relation between where the sun was when you were born and what your personal characteristics are like. That's not science.
All right. Was there a question from our all right. So the next question online is, if a black hole swallows light, won't you be able to see the light and objects as they are heading towards the black hole? Perhaps not when it's in, but as they are heading towards.
That is correct. As an object approaches a black hole, there's a point where the light will circle almost all the way around, right from the back. you'll see things from the back of the black hole refracted to the front. It's very bizarre, but it can be mathematically calculated. The mathematical calculations jive with what we see. We've actually photographed a black hole for the first time, and they're working on equipment to get an even more sharp look at black holes in other galaxies than our own. So yes, you would see light for a time until it's too late, and when it reaches the event horizon, what's called the event horizon, there is no escape. Light is the lightest thing in the universe, the fastest thing, and even that cannot escape the gravity of a black hole.
Right. And I believe that phenomena of being able to, now I have that song stuck in my head, mana, do, 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 and now it's in everyone else's head, too. I have someone out of the audience face palming now. But the phenomena of being able to see behind an object is, I believe, called gravitational lensing.
That is correct.
So that's an interesting thing you should probably look up in Google, because you could probably get a slightly better definition through that than through my own.
We can see behind galaxies. We can see more distant objects have been lensed by the galaxy like a telescope. So it's amazing what you can do with something predicted by Einstein back in the 1920s, gravitational lensing.
Right. Also, I finally thought of the perfect pun for the phablet thing.
Okay.
A phablet is when the doctor says the tablet has eaten one too many bites.
It becomes a phablet. Excellent.
I thought of that earlier, and I almost forgot. But the next question is, actually, there was one comment saying, you're wrong. Capricorns rule. I'm guessing they are, in fact, a Capricorn. So, the next question is, with the number of objects orbiting the Earth, how is it such amazing photos are taken without something in the way? And I believe the answer to that is patience.
Yes.
Many images that you actually see posted online, including that of the thing, are basically composites of many layers of that same image stacked on top of one another. And basically, if there is something in the way, you tend to toss that picture out of the queue so that you are left with A, a much brighter, clearer picture, and B, you don't have that random distracting stuff around the outside. So, I'm going to put out a last call for any questions online. Do you guys have any questions?
So we thank our live audience for coming in this weather. Hope to see you again.
Risk it all.
Yeah. So, sorry, though, we were not quite as good at predicting the weather as we thought we were. We're constantly checking the weather reports, and it's like, oh, it'll clear up at 6. Great, we can do this.
Well, just have it together next time I come to New Jersey.
We'll do our best.
Yeah. When they actually allow me control of the weather machine, then we all have to worry. All right. So with that, thank you for coming. Thank you to our online audience for also coming. Like I said, do check us out online, and I hope to see you next time. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.